lightning strikes above the highest tower of the imposing medieval castle standing atop the hill in front of you. The surrounding landscape beneath the fortress is a dark forest, just perfect for hiding untold numbers of dangers. You're not exactly sure where you are or why you were brought here, but you never do. It doesn't matter though. You'll figure it all out in due time. You always do. The context of why you're brought to the places you need to be is never important. In fact, you don't pay it any mind at all. All that matters is that you help the people who need it the most. Save them from the terror that seems to creep around every corner. No matter where you wind up, it's always a struggle. These people seem bent on doing everything in ways that seem to always put them in the most danger. The world seems to revel in that danger, sometimes outsmarting you and coming up with new ways to hurt and terrify those who you try to help. But it doesn't matter. You're a hero. In fact, with how many new places and settings you seem to instantaneously crop up in, you seem to be the hero. That's always how you've been. You hop from one location to the next, the days bleeding into one another, never needing rest. You're not even sure who you are in a traditional sense. You don't know your name. Your appearance is vague and fuzzy. Your humanity itself is even debatable, but you don't care about any of that. Deep inside you, there's a drive to help others and save them from the cruelness and horrors of the situations they find themselves in. You can never pin it down, but nothing ever feels right. In the places you crop up, things just seem to work against these folks as much as they can. Cars don't start while knife-brandishing killers pursue them from the woods. Undead zombies always seem to know where others are hiding. Ghosts and monsters know the exact ways to terrify and scare their victims. Ordinary, kind people always seem to find themselves in the most unexplainable, unfortunate situations, caught up in tales of the supernatural, of the arcane, and of absolute terror. It's like the universe is working against them, putting them in these situations on purpose, almost for entertainment purposes. But you're smarter than that, and you have been for as long as you've been doing this, which is a very, very long time. Jumping from one location to the next, contending with paranormal activity and supernatural foes, saving would-be victims from their clutches. You understand that this is your purpose. You understand that you are a hero, and that's all you need to know. You've picked up quite the skill set and contextual savviness over the thousands of times you've done this. Don't go down that alleyway. Don't split up from a group. And don't leave the house are some of the most common platitudes you have to tell the people you meet on your journeys. They seem obvious enough, but most of the time, they don't listen. They go on vacation against your wishes, and then they find themselves in a haunted hotel room. They send their kids to a summer camp, only to find that it's been stalked by a brutalizing slasher. They move into a house with a history of being haunted and are somehow surprised when the spirits don't take kindly to their new guests. To you, it all seems so obvious. You've seen it all before that it's predictable. But for others, they have a serious difficulty understanding that their lives are in imminent danger. For some reason, it's like they're predisposed to doing the exact opposite of what you tell them to do. But it's no matter. Whatever they wind up doing, you'll be there to stop the horrific paranormal threats that continuously endanger their lives. After all, you're the hero. And so you set off, moving towards the castle in the distance. You're not sure of what you're supposed to do yet, but you'll figure it out. After a half hour of trekking in the dark, misty woods, you come across a broken-down old school car stuck in a massive ditch. Inside is a young couple, dressed in older clothing. They seem to be elated at your arrival, thanking you before you've even done anything. You ask them what happened, and they explain that while driving, they got lost and somehow found themselves in this forest. The fog was so thick, the man explained that he lost control of the vehicle entirely. and found himself in a ditch. You scratch your chin. Like most situations you've come across, you've seen it before. A young couple forced to take refuge in a dangerous location after their vehicle broke down. And if you were a betting man, you'd wager everything you'd own that the dangerous location in question is none other than that creepy castle on the hilltop. You assist the couple and try to help them push their car out of the ditch. You ask what their plan is, and of course they tell you that they're planning on seeing if they can spend the night in the castle. You shake your head, wanting to tell them that it's a bad idea. But if you come out of the gate with a warning, it's going to raise questions. No, your day saving has to be as natural as possible, at least when you can help it. With some effort, you manage to free the car from the ditch, setting it on the dirt road once more. The couple thanks you, but just as they're about to start the car again, a loud spark from underneath the hood makes a loud pop in the silent night air. Of course. The universe is doing everything it can to get this helpless couple into that castle. After some deliberation, you decide to hold off on telling them to stay away from the castle. No reasonable person is going to want to stay the night in an unfamiliar forest, and given the time period you found yourself in, it's not like you can call for help. Besides, if you stay out here any longer and delay going into the castle, who knows what else the universe will throw at you. Maybe you'll be attacked by wolves, or crushed under a conveniently falling tree. The castle might be their best option for short-term safety, but it's almost certainly packed with dangers of its own design. You tell the couple that you'll watch their car, and that you'll follow them shortly. Maybe you can fix it, or figure out what's wrong. In your travels, you've picked up some rudimentary automobile knowledge. Now it's time to put it to the test. After a cautious goodbye, you watch the two walk the steep hill to the imposing stone castle and knock on the large wooden doors with a timid push of the metal gargoyle door knocker. Now that they're gone, you can work your magic. You wait until you see the couple greeted by a woman with black hair and a red dress, who welcomes them into the foyer with a concerningly devilish laugh. They're all so gullible, you think to yourself, but it doesn't matter. You have a job to do. Throughout the night, you scope out the castle, sneaking around the outside, peering in windows and traversing hidden passageways. You're pretty sure you're unseen the whole time, even by the numerous guard dogs and strange giant bat creatures that patrol the premises. Funny how that works. When you want to be perceived, you have no difficulty being noticed, but when you want to be hidden, it's like no one can notice you. While the universe may work against you in so many ways, it's also blessed you with a variety of benefits and lucky breaks. After all, you are the hero of this story, and of every story you find yourself within. You've determined, through your impeccably stealthy sneaking skills, that this castle belongs to none other than the vampire countess Lady Brunhild Haas, an immortal creature who feasts on the blood of humans and lives out her days in a creepy cobweb-infested castle. A by-the-books vampire through and through. You've contended with so many of them at this point, they're trivial. Heck, you've saved hundreds of people from the infamous Count Dracula, the deadliest and most famous vampire of them all, multiple times across multiple worlds by now. You know all the tricks. A stake through the heart, a silver bullet, sunlight, garlic, fire, holy water. Now that you think about it, vampires are pretty vulnerable creatures, and if it weren't for their deceptive nature, quick thinking, magical powers, and hyper-fast reflexes, it'd be hard for anyone to find them scary. Now understanding your target, it's time to play your part as the hero, vanquish this monster, and save that couple. Just as the Countess is planning to sneak into the guest bedroom where the couple is sleeping and sink her fangs into their necks, you leap from the shadows with the wooden stake you found inside the castle's catacombs and hit her in the head with as much force as possible. It's not enough, and the Countess lunges forward, screeching. The couple jolts awake, just in time to witness the Countess and you duking it out in the guest bedroom. Seeing a vulnerable spot, the Countess transforms into a bat and flies toward the girl to attack, but the Countess got greedy, because unfortunately for her, she couldn't predict that she was within throwing distance of the stake you picked up. You hurl it forward, precision striking the transformed Countess right in the wing. Injured, she changes back into her human form, giving you enough time to pull the stake from what was her wing and now her bloody arm. and drive it straight through her heart and seal her fate forever. It's not pretty, and now you're covered in vampire blood, but you got the job done. The couple is shocked, but they both saw it with their own eyes. The Countess was a vampire. She transformed into a bat, and they need to get out of there. You guide them through the castle, narrowly avoiding the locations of all the guarding creatures, and into a room containing the Countess's horse-drawn carriage. You set them off on their way just as the sun rises, and remind them to not forget the luggage in the back of their car that's still in the woods. You feel a sense of satisfaction, as you always do after your quests, but as soon as that feeling washes over you, you're whisked away to a different location, but this time, something is different. You blink, and you wind up in what appears to be a facility. You've been to some place similar before, but nothing like this. It's massive, filled with dozens upon dozens of people rushing from hallway to hallway. And in those hallways are doors. Oh, so many doors. You scratch your head, but the confusion disappears as you grab a young man in an orange jumpsuit by the shoulders and inform him that he's about to be terminated due to misconduct in a research environment. You're not even sure what that means, but the words come out of you like they're preordained. It felt like the right thing to say, and you're not exactly wrong. The man pushes your hand away, swearing at you before moving forward, presumably to his death. 4 armed guards approach you from the distance, and before you know it, you're taken to a room with two-way glass, a microphone, and a strange device strapped around your neck, called by one of the lab coats as a Scranton reality anchor, whatever that means. They've given you a name, SCP-2786, and from what you can glean, they know quite a bit about you. A suited individual sits down across the two-way glass and begins asking you questions. You don't have time for this. You have business elsewhere. You explain to the agent, as he calls himself, that you're a hero who goes from place to place wherever you're called upon. Those in distress, those suffering, you're their champion. The agent asks why they found you inside horror movies and books, and you're taken aback. Books? Movies? What is he talking about? You explain that your work is very real, and that before the incident with the vampire, you just finished dispatching of a hockey mask-wearing slasher at Camp Crystal Lake and saving a group of teenagers. It was easy work for you, of course. He was just one guy, and those kids ignored all of the obvious warning signs. The agent confirms that he saw you do that, and you're even more confused. He was there? The agent catches himself and explains that while he wasn't exactly there, he watched it play out in the movie. He tries to explain that all of your adventures are taking place in fictional locations, movies, books. You, SCP-2786, enter these mediums through mysterious unknown means and alter their plots entirely. Copies of films and books that you enter are changed, and the characters always manage to escape the horror of the film due to your assistance. You alter stories early, changing them entirely. Movies, books, this is not only ridiculous, but it's also getting on your nerves. The agent is wasting your time, and you have to go save those guys in the orange jumpsuits from being terminated or reassigned or whatever it is. You stand up, and the anchor device somehow turns itself off and detaches from your neck. You phase through the wall on your left, unsure exactly of how you did it, but it felt natural. Maybe that's how this world works. Certain people can do things like this, and these guys are trying to contain them, like a government organization or the Men in Black. Your genre savviness pays off yet again. Whatever this SCP Foundation is, you've read them like an open book. And now that you understand the situation, you can do what you were sent here to do. You hear the sound of an alarm in the distance, but you can't be stopped. Over the next few hours, you break into multiple containment cells, freeing orange jumpsuits, or D-Class personnel, as they're called by the Foundation, as well as several other kind, regular people who just happen to have anomalous abilities contained within the site. These Foundation types disgust you, thinking they can lock up human lives without regard for their rights or dignity. Studying them, you bet they want to study you too, but they're not going to. As soon as you feel your work is done, you're whisked away to another location, away from the strange Foundation facility and into an ordinary American city, where you assist a cast of characters in narrowly avoiding the traps and sinister games of a killer puppet who wants to murder them. But after getting the job done this time, you're not taken anywhere new. You're in the same location over and over again, on a loop. After the 48th time saving these characters, you start to consider what the agent had told you. You enter films, books, horror stories. You're fictional. Well, meta-fictional. You exist inside the work and out of it. The prospects of this are strange and new, but if they're true, it might explain why you've never felt like the people you save. Like you always felt like you were in a story, that you were the only real person there. If everyone else is just a character, what does that make you? Alone? Entirely? If you're inside a movie right now, can someone be looping it, playing back the DVD over and over again to keep you trapped there? Is it the Foundation? Is this how the Foundation is going to contain you? No, you tell yourself. You are not going to be contained. Another 30 loops of the same monotonous ordeal, but then you're transported somewhere new. You laugh to yourself, having somehow escaped the trap planted by the Foundation. Before you know it, you'll be off to a new story, and you can continue doing what you do best. But as the world fades out around you, it doesn't seem to come back. You seem to be stuck in a sea of white and black and red. Those same colors over and over, extending on forever. You walk for what seems to be hours, and as you do, surroundings begin to form around you. A concrete wall, a concrete floor, a bed, a door, leading to another endless sea of white, red, and black. And on the floor, a logo, a circle within a circle, with 3 arrows pointing inwards. For the first time in your life, you're unsure of what you should be doing. That logo. It's the logo of the SCP Foundation, and you look like you're inside a containment cell. No. You pound against the wall, collapsing it, and allowing the sea of white swallow you whole. More logos, more empty brackets. A file. You're inside. A file. No. A cell of your own design. You're creating the containment cell. Your own brain, however it works, is generating a narrative. The narrative of you being contained by the SCP Foundation. A horror story. And that's exactly what the Foundation used to trap you. You're not sure where you are, nor can you feel your body or even your sense of self. All that you know is that you're trapped. You've been whisked away to a new story, all right. Your story. And it seems to be harder and harder to escape from. But then, the cell around you collapsed once more, and you found yourself in a familiar setting, a medieval castle, being urged by a queen to slay a great evil. You managed to escape. You don't know how you did it, but you're back to your old life, jumping from story to story. You know all the beats, all the cliches, and all of the right things to do. And for the next few hours, you do them, slaying the great beast and stealing his divine amulet to bring back to the kingdom. But after the fact, it felt hollow. It didn't feel real, not like the other times. You weren't sure how a location could tell a lie, but this one felt as if its truth were paper thin. Was someone pulling the strings and making this world a lie for them? Like trickery or an illusion? And suddenly, just as you begin to suspect this narrative to be another means of containment generated by the Foundation, everything goes back to that white containment cell. They can't keep you here. They can't keep you here. You repeat it over and over, shouting it into the distance. You just want to go home, you beg. They can't control you. You're the hero of this story. If you're fictional, you're a good character. You did everything right. You don't understand. This is your story, and it will always be your story. The Foundation is just another one of the countless villains you fought. Those self-righteous murderers, you will surpass them. You shout into the void of television static and endless torment for what seems like decades. And when you tire of your yelling, you realize one thing. This is eternal. Now go check out SCP-1230 A Hero is Born and SCP-423 Self-Inserting Character for more plot twisters and story hoppers from SCP Explained.